Hey, what's up guys, it's Darkham Duelist, and today we're going to be doing some Dark Lord test hands. So I'm excited for, out of all the Rise of the Duelist archetypes, this deck is hands down the one that I'm excited for the most, especially with the first Dark Lord coming out, and being able to board wipe your opponent on your opponent's turn is really cool. This is actually one of my top 5 favorite decks of all time, along with Blackwings, Heroes, Magical Musketeers, and any Red Eyes variant in the entire game, because I love Red Eyes Black Dragons. Even my Patreon tiers is Red Eyes Black Dragon related, all the way up to Dark Arm Dragon and Annihilation Dragon. But hey, that's a topic for another day. But this is a really fun deck, and I'm really excited for this one. But before we get into this, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below so you guys can check out those different tiers with all the different rewards, like getting your name description for every single video, getting a signed card sent to mail, or even getting requested deck profile and test hands along with it every single month that you're a patron. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight on into this. So this deck is actually insane now. Being able to give your opponent a Dark Lord with the Indulged Dark Lord, and being able to like fusion summon during your opponent's turn with the trap card by using a Dark Lord's effect or flipping the trap is just insanely good. This deck is actually really good now. It doesn't brick nearly as much because it used to just be Vanity's Fiend pass, or like Arklor Christia pass, which is what a lot of the stuff that I did in this deck. But you still play like one Christia just in case. But it's really, really, really good. So let's go ahead and draw and see what we can get. We're going to get the Sanctified Dark Lord, Zerato, Rebellion, Amadas, and a copy of Contact. So usually you're going to want to go second in Dark Lords anyway. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a Tez. That's a brick. You can't do anything really with this particular hand, except you feasibly could set the Sanctified Dark Lord and set your copy of Rebellion, because you can send a Dark Lord from your hand. So you can essentially give your opponent a monster negate, gain life points, and pop something, and then it'll brick, and we're going to keep going. So let's see what we can actually do. That's a good reason that I'm actually going to bring it up to you guys. Always pile shuffle. Make sure that you pile shuffle, or stuff like that happens where you will brick because your cards, your high level monsters are stuck together, or your other cards are stuck together. That just happens sometimes whenever you're playing around with a deck. So let's go ahead and see what we can do after we pile shuffle and show you guys the big difference. Because I'm like really trying to encourage people to pile shuffle, because I see a lot of times when I go to different locals and stuff, you really brick sometimes like that. And it's not even the deck's fault. It's just you didn't pile shuffle. So let's go ahead and see what we can pull off now that we pile shuffled. So we're going to go ahead and draw. We're going to draw into a shell. It's already a good hand. Copy of Vukabac, pretty good. Morningstar, we're set. We totally have, just with these 3 cards, we're set. We're going to go ahead and draw into an Amadas. That's really good. Or Superbia, and a copy of Nazdan. This is about as good as a hand you could get. The only thing that will change is if you could get a copy of Banishment instead of any one of these cards. So we're going to go ahead and... wow, I don't even know where to go. Go ahead and discard these. Well, yeah, no. To the graveyard, because it's going to help you out getting your Dark Lord, the first Dark Lord set up for your opponent's turn. Now there, you now just need to get 2 Dark Lord, or you need to get 1 Dark Lord on your field. So we're going to go ahead and activate the copy of Superbia and Contact. We're going to get the copy of Contact to our hand, and then now you can resolve the Contact and bring back your copy of a shell, or bring back your copy of Superbia and then a shell. Because the copy of Superbia will actually bring back your Banishment to be able to search the deck, pay your stack, pay your 1,000 life points, shuffle it into the deck, and then you get to add from your deck to your hand a Dark Lord monster. Or you could even go a little bit different of a route, and you could add from deck to hand a copy of the Rebellion, which you could then ditch to the graveyard to give you a pop if you needed it, or if you wanted to go that route. It's totally up to you which card you get. I would probably get a shell just to dig into the deck a little bit deeper. Or, you know, because I'm going to get a second Dark Lord on the field right now. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle the deck up really quick. Ditch your copy of Amadas and your Rebellion to the graveyard. Special summon out that copy of Nazdan. And then you can use from your side of the field, you can use your copy of Superbia and Condemned Dark Lord. Now, she has a really neat effect that she lets you... discard a card and then take a Dark Lord from your deck and either add it from your hand or your graveyard, or add it from your hand or send it to the graveyard. So before you go into Nazdan, actually do this. Before you go into the Nazdan, put these cards back in your hand really quick to search your deck to get you even more setup with a copy of either Banishment or Contact if you want one of those, or the Indulged Dark Lord. She works really well in the deck too to get you Revival, or anything that you particularly need. You're probably going to discard it anyways, so I would get something that you could just resolve later, like a copy of your Sanctified Dark Lord, and it's going to get you even more plays. So now you can discard, you have this in your hand, or you can send it to the graveyard. I'd probably send it to the graveyard because you can pay the 1,000 life points with the copy of Naz'ten, or add it to your hand, excuse me. So you can ditch these and then summon out your Naz'ten. Now you can actually pay your 1,000 life points on your opponent's turn to get out your copy of the other Dark Lord. Now keep in mind, you'll gain 2,500 life points off your Condemned Dark Lord, which is really good to be able to gain that 2,500 off of her for every fairy you have on your side of the field. You gain 5, and you have 5 fairies on your side of the field, and you have your copy of Morningstar in your hand. So if you pass to your opponent, you can use the copy of Naz'ten onto your side of the field, which you actually linked these away to go in for the Condemned Dark Lord. You can use your copy of Naz'ten to be able to go ahead and pay another 1,000 life points to use the copy of Dark Lord Uprising to shuffle that back into the deck, and then you'll use these 3 Dark Lords to go directly into a copy of the first Dark Lord onto your side of the field. Or you could use your Condemned Dark Lord and keep your copy of your shell on your side of the field, and then pay another stack and go ahead and shuffle back your copy of your Contact back into the deck, and you can get 2 more Dark Lords back out of the graveyard with your copy of your Superbia back on your side of the field, and then Superbia will trigger and special summon back a fairy monster from your graveyard, which can be your Condemned Dark Lord, to be able to get Horde. Or instead of summoning her, you can go for your copy of Naz'ten, and then you have a pop or a negate with your copy of your Sanctified or normal summon her out to your side of the field, use her effect, give your opponent an Ukobak, because we played double Ukobak in this particular deck. Right here, give your opponent that copy of Ukobak, and then you can add from your deck to your hand a particular Dark Lord monster that you need, like a copy of anything that you need, like a Nargal. We could add Nargal to our hand. I mean, it's not going to really help that much because you're not the copy of your Indulge to be able to take it out, and then OTK your opponent with all of this because they're not going to have anything because this is going to board wipe them, which is really awesome. So let's go ahead and do another test hand. Basically the only cards that you need in the entire deck is if you can have 2 of each of these, you're fine. Like, that's usually all I make in the deck nowadays. I do play an Access Code Talker engine, which you guys can check out in the deck profile down in the description below, but you don't really use it all that much. You just use these 2 monsters is what I usually use. Sometimes you go into the Dragobolon play where you go into this, and then you use the copy of Hope Harboring, and then you go into the copy of Numeron to go for 9,000 damage, which is pretty cool. But other than that, you don't really use anything else. So let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck and see what we can actually pull off with this next test hand. So that was really good. We bricked once, and then we did that. So, I mean, it just depends. It's why you need to pile shuffle the deck and make sure that you pile shuffle your deck. So let's go ahead and draw. We're going to draw into a Naz'ten, a copy of Allure, Ukobak, Called by the Grave, and a Superbia. Okay. So with this particular hand, I probably would go ahead and dig with the copy of Allure to get what I needed. So we're going to draw 2, which is going to be another Ukobak and then a shell. I would probably banish the copy of Ukobak from my hand, and then I would use the shell and the copy of Superbia to get them out of my hand, and then draw 2 more, which is going to be another copy of Superbia and a Nargal. At this point, to be able to resolve for your Dark Lords, but you do have your copy of Called by the Grave, which you can use your copy of your Ukobak and then use the copy of Ukobak to send from your deck to the graveyard any of your spells or traps, which could be your copy of Contact that you can send to the graveyard. And then now you can use from the graveyard your copy of your Superbia and your Nargal, because the Nargal is a level of the field. And if you're going first, you could summon out your copy of your Hope Harboring Dragon Titanic Galaxy. Link these 2 bad boys together if you wanted to link these 2 together. Also make sure you shuffle back your Contact into your deck because you want to make sure that you're playing fairly and pay that 1,000 life points for the copy of Naz'ten. And then if you look at your graveyard, you don't have anything else that you can really resolve. Now you can link those 2 together if you want to link those 2 together and go for a copy of Phoenix or Cerberus, or you could leave them on your side of the field just like this and just leave them because you don't really need anything else. You can't discard anything because you don't have anything in your hand for your copy of Condemned Dark Lord, And that's about all you can really do with that particular hand, is leave these on the field. Now, when you go into your next turn and you shuffle that deck one more time just to make sure, you're going to draw into a copy of Dark Lord Uprising, which is the only way that this card actually bricks is if you draw into it, which is a little bit unfortunate. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for another test hand. That's a little bit of what this deck does sometimes. It does brick just a little bit with the amount of high-level monsters you play, because it's a lot of 2-card combos, and sometimes you'll draw into cards that you just don't need at that particular moment. So let's go ahead and see what we can actually pull off with this next test hand. As you can see, though, the first Dark Lord is really easy to get out in this deck. It's not super hard. So we're going to draw into a Zerato, a trade-in. We're already going to get a draw 2. Amadas, a Shell. We're going to get another draw 2, and a copy of trade-in. We're probably going to get at least a draw 6 on this turn. So we're going to go ahead and use the copy of Zerato and the trade-in to be able to draw 2 out of the deck, which is going to be an Ukobak and a copy of Allure. I would probably resolve the copy of Allure next to draw 2, because I'm not afraid to get rid of that Amadas. Get rid of the Amadas and banish it, and then normal summon out your copy of your Indulged Dark Lord. This is going to thin the deck quite a lot to be able to just get cards out of your deck. I would probably go ahead and give my opponent, I'd probably get the copy of Morningstar to my hand, and then give my opponent my, and then now you have the copy of the Indulged Dark Lord in your hand, and you have your copy of a Shell. So you, at this point, could go ahead and just send these to the graveyard again to get them out of your hand, and then dig into the deck a little bit more, which you're going to get your Contact, which is what you really needed to get back a Dark Lord to your side of the field, which is going to help out quite a lot. Unfortunately, we don't have Superbia, which Superbia would be really nice right about now. You could pass with a field like this if you wanted to, which you could attack into that if you're going second. If you're going first, you're going to probably want to go ahead and revive that a Shell to your side of the field, so you can have that negate with the copy of your Dark Lord, the Sanctified Dark Lord. And you also have the ability to go ahead and you have the extra ability to go into a copy of your, oh my goodness, what's her name? The Condemned Dark Lord. So you could link into her if you wanted to, and then ditch a card from your hand, which could be a copy of the Call by the Grave if you didn't use it. And then you can send from your deck to the graveyard a copy of the extra Dark Lord on your side of the field. You have to pay a Dark Lord, or you have to use a Dark Lord's effect. But you do get her on your side of the field, which is kind of nice, and then you're going to gain an extra 500. So if we're going to go into our next test hand, let's see what we can actually pull off, because if you would have drawn into your next turn, you would have drawn into a Superbia, which then you could have gone off with this, because you could have gone with the trade-in, and then it would have drawn 2 more, which would have been another trade-in and a Contact, and you could have revived your copy of a Shell, and then gone off on your opponent's or your turn with the copy of the first Dark Lord as well. So it wasn't a complete brick. You could have keep going, which would have been really. So let's see if we can get out the first Dark Lord this time. We got it out once, and we could have got it out twice in that second test hand. The first test hand was a complete brick, and let's see if we can get it out in test hand number 4 and see if we can get it out. So let's see. Cut the deck. So we're going to draw into a copy of Enchantment, Uprising, Allure, Banishment, and a Superbia. Okay, not terrible. Let's say we're going second this time. We're going to draw into a copy of the Indulged Dark Lord, and I'm going to go ahead and immediately normal summon her to my side of the field before I do anything else, because she's the best normal summon in the deck. We're going to go ahead and give our copy of the Ukobak to our opponent, Morningstar, because we don't want to leave anything to chance, because we do have that copy of Uprising in the hand. I would go ahead and resolve the copy of Banishment as well, and grab a copy of a Shell just to get her out of the deck, so you can resolve your copy of the first Dark Lord, or the copy of Dark Lord Uprising. So go ahead and ditch these 2 cards out of your hand, and then draw 2 off the top of the deck, which we're going to get another Superbia, and then a Nazdan, which is pretty good because you have an Allure target as well. Go ahead and Allure, draw 2, banish out one of your copies of Superbia because you're not going to need it, and then you have another copy of Allure that we're going to draw 2, get a copy of Nazdan, which you're not going to need the Nazdan, so go ahead and dip that Nazdan away, and then use your copy of Nazdan in your hand to be able to send this, your Superbia, and your copy of Amadas to your graveyard, and then you have the copy of the Nazdan that can trigger, that you can send the copy of Morningstar, your Teslapak Polka, and your copy of the Dark Lord Uprising if you want to, or you can use the copy of the Banishment to be able to grab a card out of the graveyard. So always kind of look before you actually go off. So go ahead and activate the copy of Nazdan to shuffle back your copy of the Banishment to be able to grab from the deck your copy of Contact, which is basically Monster Reborn. We're going to go ahead and drop the copy of Contact and revive from the graveyard our copy of Superbia and a Shell, which is going to get us even more card advantage to be able to pay our 1,000 life points for the copy of a Shell, spin back the copy of your Dark Lord Uprising, and then go for your first Dark Lord to board wipe your opponent, essentially. Go ahead and shuffle the deck up. You're down 2,000 life points. Keep that in mind, and you are going second. So we're going to use the copy of Indulged Dark Lord, Tesla Pacapoca, and your copy of Morningstar. Summon out the copy of the first Dark Lord, and then board wipe your opponent in that route. And then grab the copy of the Condemned Dark Lord that can then let you ditch a card from your hand, which is the copy of Enchantment, to be able to grab another Dark Lord from your deck to your hand, which is going to help out a little bit later on, which could be your copy of the Contact or the copy of Banishment, which you could add a Dark Lord from your deck to your hand on the next turn, which you've got 4,000, 16, and 16 right here, which is going to get you a lot of damage. I mean, that's probably this. So, and the next turn you could take your opponent's monster with this, you could revive a monster, and then you could use this as well to search. So you could essentially get both of these back with Nazdan, and then you could use the copy of Enchantment with the copy of a Shell to take your opponent's monster to disrupt them, and then on your turn you could drop your copy of Banishment, and then you could use Banishment twice because you have your copy of a Shell and your copy of Nazdan on your side of the field. So, that's basically how Dark Lords play. It's really fun to play around with them. I'll do one quick test hand to see if we can actually pull off anything insane. I think we've done very well with Dark Lords so far. We did have like one good brick, but it just happens sometimes with Dark Lords. You're gonna have moments like that with Dark Lords. If you don't draw the Shell and you draw all the 3 of the traps, it just happens. So if you're going to draw into another one, we're going to get a copy of Superbia, Banishment, Sanctified, Tez, and a copy of Morningstar. I mean, all you have to do with this is use this, grab your copy of a Shell, use the Shell and the Superbia to draw 2, immediately draw into that, ditch these 2, draw 2, get your copy of Nargal on the hand, and then you kind of brick right there. So you kind of got to watch it too, because you could have got something else like the copy of Indulge to dig deeper into the deck instead. So you kind of got to watch out what you're kind of doing when you're playing this deck. So that's it for the test hands, guys. It's a really fun deck to play around with. It's very, very good. It's very good at OTKing your opponent. I look forward to doing some live duels with this at some point in the future, hopefully soon. But anyways, guys, this is Dark Room Duels. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below. And check out the deck profile for Dark Lords down in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.